Welcome to Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast, your podcast dedicated to all things Animal Crossing. Episode 136 is brought to you by Sia, Some Italian People, and Alex, some of our newest Patreon patrons. This week, I will be interviewing Liz from the Beths about her experience with New Horizons. After that, Nina, Sergio, and I will be discussing Boredom in Animal Crossing. Before Nina and Sergio arrive, we're going to start with a quick interview with Liz from the Beths and talk about all things Animal Crossing. Hello everybody, I am here with Liz from the Beths, and I guess you can explain this a lot better than I can, but can you tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, so our listeners can kind of have a quick background on you?
Yeah, sure. I'm Liz. I sing and play guitar and write songs for a band called the Beths. We're from Auckland, New Zealand, which is where I'm calling from now. It's a nice sunny morning, but we're heading into winter, so I have been playing the Southern Hemisphere game. So, yeah, and we're a band. We put out an album in 2018 called Future Me Hates Me, and for the last couple of years have been touring kind of all over the world. We've been to the States a few times and to Europe and of course home in like Australia and stuff. And we have another record called Jump Rope Gazers, which is coming out July 10th. And yeah, so our year has been kind of turned upside down, where we were supposed to be over in the States in April doing a tour, and we would be touring all year. But obviously with COVID, we're now firmly in place back home in Auckland, and I ended up obviously playing like a lot of people, playing a lot of Animal Crossing in those first couple of months in lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like a lot of really big things going on while other big things are going on. So I guess, how's the process for you been with like putting out an album during this time when usually, it seems like bands would be going on tour at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's been strange for us. I think it was quite confronting at the very start, because that was when we were, actively looking down at our year and seeing it all kind of like crumble. But I mean, it was also just kind of scary. It's hard to remember now. It feels like it was years ago, almost. Like it was scary for different reasons, like existentially scary. And everybody was going through it at the same time, like, talking to friends in bands in the States who, some of them are like mid tour, or like, and had to like try and get home from wherever they were and things like that. So we definitely felt like we were luckier than a lot of bands in that we were already home, like, at least. And I don't know, it's I forgot what the question was.
Oh, yeah, no, that's no problem. Yeah. Well, I guess, in that sense, like, you mentioned you're playing a lot of Animal Crossing being indoors. Is this your first Animal Crossing game that you've had experience with?
Yeah, it is. I've always played Nintendo games. Like, I had a Nintendo 64 and then I had a DS, like, when I was in high school. But, like, I had never played an Animal Crossing game before, but I only really got into kind of the genre, I suppose, when I started playing Stardew Valley. We got home from finishing like our huge overseas bout of touring last year in August, and I like immediately went out and bought a Nintendo Switch. I was like, I'm gonna do it. I've been threatening to do it for years, and so I played a lot of Stardew Valley, and then I kept hearing about people talk about Animal Crossing and how it was like similar in vibe, and then I was really, when I heard there was going to be a new one coming out, I was really excited to get it.
Yeah, that's exciting. I really love Stardew Valley as well. The life sim genre tends to be a lot of fun. So I guess in that sense, like you said, you came back from a tour, but as a band that tours and you're on the road a lot, do you find like video games are something that you enjoy to do while out on the road?
I think there's something that I would like to do. I mean, like, your brain goes a bit custody when, like, which I mean, like custard, not like the word custody. When you're like kind of just like you're sitting in a van for like 7 or 8 hours a day, and I didn't have a gaming console on the road, so like I played a bit of just like some phone games and things, but that was part of why I was so keen to buy it. After doing all that touring, I was like, I really want something that I can take and try and just have something to kind of fill moments where, like, I've tried to read sometimes. I listen to like a lot of podcasts and audiobooks because I can't read in the van because I get motion sickness. So I feel like I probably still couldn't play in the car because it might make me motion sick. But just like having something, like I was really looking forward to the idea of playing something like Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing while touring because it's just such a nice way to kind of unwind or something.
Yeah, they're nice ways to kind of check in and do something different with your day, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned phone games too, because I've visited your website and you have a version of 2048 that replaces the numbers with your band's different faces. And yeah, I guess I was wondering, do you play that a lot? Because I do. I gotta be honest with you, I do.
I'm so basic. Sorry, yeah, like I the games that I like games like 2048. I got into 2048 back in like 2017 while we were like in the late stages of recording our very first album, which we would just do like over weekends and after work and stuff like that. And so Jonathan would be mixing the record and I would be there like in the lead up. I spent like a shameful amount of hours playing the dog version of 2048 where it's like the Doge face. This is such like ancient internet history now, but the like it was a version of 2048 but the pictures were all little gifs of the dog, and I spent like so many hours playing that game and then ended up just like on the free version of Photoshop making gifs of our faces so that we could make our own version. And Chris is Jonathan's brother who played bass on the first overseas tour we did. He's a software programmer and he just like spent an afternoon like putting it all together as a game and slapped it on the Beths.com. And that was just our official website for a really long time. It was just a version of 2048 with our faces. So yeah. I definitely engage in those kind of games.
That's great. Well, I'm right there with you because I've probably spent way too many hours playing your version of 2048.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, you're not alone out there. We're out there.
Good. I spent a long time with those gifts. I'm very proud of them.
Yeah, I'm impressed. You've done that. I was watching somebody play on Photoshop just a couple days ago, and I was like, I do not understand how to use this tool at all. This is amazing.
It's so I don't even use Photoshop. I'm just using the free version.
Yeah, which that's more than I can do. Believe me.
You can do it. If I can do it, you can definitely do it.
I'll have to practice. Cool. So let's get into New Horizons, and I guess I wanted to start off by asking you what did you name your island?
My island is called Isla Lisla.
I love that
because my name is Liz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's inspired. It's funny. I listen to a lot of people who kind of, just tell me what they named their islands, where it came from. And honestly, like, you get a lot that are really based off where people live or their names. I think those are the two go-tos. Not to say that, you're basic or anything, but no.
Oh, no. It's strange. It's a decision you have to make so early on. Like, having never played an Animal Crossing game, and like one of the first things you do is you have to name your island, and I'm like, I have no context for what people normally do.
Yeah, but, it's funny. I guess, what was your experience like going into the game and actually starting it out?
It was fun. I tried to I didn't know really anything about the game and I tried to keep it that way. Like I didn't Google kind of any walkthroughs or anything to kind of see what the game would be like. But my flatmate, who also bought the game at the same time, did. And so like he would kind of impart to me little snippets of like information or helpful things. He was like a couple days ahead of me, which was also kind of nice. He'd be like, oh, my store is shutting down to renovate, and then like I'd kind of know that was coming. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I find it's a pretty helpful game in that sense. I think the community tends to get together and just kind of, swap information when it comes to it, because it is a lot of discovery for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I guess now that you're living there, you've probably accumulated a lot of little animal friends, but do you have a favorite of those?
I do. I didn't know. See, this is the thing, because I for the first like month and a half or something, I kind of like stayed away from the community, even though I think the community is really really great now, and I now watch a lot of and read a lot of stuff. Just because I wanted to kind of like keep it just with, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I wanted to kind of like not have any outside too much outside influence. My favorite character is Pietro.
I know him, the little clown sheep.
Yeah, which I said that on one of our live streams, and like a lot of people were very unhappy, which I didn't realize. He's just so I really liked that, like, he kind of turned up, and he was one of my like the third bout of characters, and so he actually had his house was actually interesting and stuff, and he kind of turned up, and I was like, oh, it's who is this? It's like a weird clown sheep. I don't know how I feel about this, and like walked into his house, and it was just a pile of boxes in the middle of the room, like, because he's moving in, and the house was just the sky, like the moving sky wallpaper and sky floor, like cloud floor, and it's the first time I'd encountered anything kind of that surreal within the universe of Animal Crossing, and I was like, what the actual heck? And he kind of, I like how he says strange things when I seem to have a lot of normal type characters, and I just like that he's quite odd.
Yeah, he's a very different one, and it doesn't surprise me that that's the reaction that you would get from saying he's your favorite. He seems like, clowns are not too popular here in the States. I think people are either terrified of them or just terrified of them. There's no in between. Just terrified or terrified.
I do understand that. Like, I'm not normally a clown fan, but I don't know. Pietro somehow has won my heart.
Yeah, well, it happens when they're interesting. So I guess, you're spending time with the game. Do you have a favorite activity while you play?
Favorite activity? For like my favorite thing for the most part, I think I found was focusing on my house and like making that, which I didn't expect, like but yeah, so I for a long time the biggest drive for me in playing the game every day was like earning enough money to increase the size of my house, which I know isn't everybody's. Like, my flatmate was quite uninterested in that, I think, and more interested in developing his island. So yeah, I really liked, like, I wanted to get to the biggest house I could, with the most rooms, as fast as I could, and so that was a big driver. And I ended up making the big upstairs room, my like a recording studio, like our little practice room / studio that we have, which was really fun. That was kind of like my favorite. That's like maybe my favorite room.
Funny enough, that is exactly what I did with my upstairs too, and it's probably my favorite.
See, I didn't even look at that, but of course, it's like they give you all the instruments, and like there's a tape machine, and it's so great.
Yeah, they have so many great instruments in the game for sure. So you mentioned kind of you earned a lot of money as quickly as possible. I guess, what were your strategies toward getting that money?
My strategies were I didn't get into the stock market until quite late, I think, because my sleeping hours got completely wrecked. So I was like waking up at I was not awake whenever Daisy, is it Daisy May?
Oh yeah.
On Sunday mornings, I was not. I was never logged in time to kind of see her. And the first time I saw her was like maybe like I'd already been playing for like over a month. I was like, oh, I guess I'll buy some turnips. So it was mainly just it was just like buying and selling fruit, doing the eventually learning from Richard, like the kind of the bell tree hacks and things like that, and it was pretty just like a slow and steady build. Which now, knowing what I know now after like engaging and seeing what people do to earn money, I'm like, oh, I could have done that a lot quicker. But I mean, it was peak lockdown. I was playing like, I was happy to just like play for 7 hours and just like catch lots and lots of sea bass and just like and just sell them for 300 bells pop or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm really glad, I guess, that you got that experience too. I think that's one that more old school Animal Crossing fans remember very well, back from before the games could even connect online. So, yeah, it's good to go through that struggle, I think.
Yeah, it's very formative. Is there do you know, in the older versions of the game, is there a stock market? Is there the turnip selling?
Yes, the stock market always existed, and there were kind of ways to go in between towns to play the stock market, but I'd say it didn't really catch in popularity until the internet became a little bit more prevalent. So, yeah, this game, it seemed like it was primed for this situation, just with everybody kind of being on lockdown. They were all ready to check their prices all the time and, invite people over.
Yeah, totally. It's pretty. Yeah, I'm out of it now. It's it was too stressful to just like panicking and texting everybody on Saturday night, just being like, ah.
Is there anybody who can recover my losses here?
Yeah. I just need to break even, please.
Yeah. Awesome. So, yeah, like we mentioned, you're a musician, you play in a band, and we have quite the celebrity in Animal Crossing, KK Slider. And I guess I wanted to, just ask what your favorite KK Slider song is.
Oh, like, weirdly, as a musician, I have not really engaged that much with KK Slider. I know he makes I like the main Animal Crossing theme. Is the name of that song New Horizons or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. Or Welcome Horizons.
Welcome Horizons. Yeah, and I think that's a banger. But yeah, like I haven't like bought a lot of his music, or I like the one time I fully watched him play a song was when it was like I didn't realize that it was going to play the entire song and the credits. And does it do that every time?
Yeah, pretty much every single time.
Yeah, and I was just like, I was on the phone to someone at the time, accidentally talked to KK Slater, and then was like, oh no, I think I'm locked in to this whole song, which I think is in this. It makes sense that it's in the spirit, but I shamefully haven't engaged with KK Slater's music that much, I think.
Yeah. Well, at least you do get Welcome Horizons, I think, as your first one from him officially. So that's always a nice track. And I really liked your cover on that first live stream you all did.
Yeah, that was really fun, because I play the trumpet, so I got to have I haven't played it in like a couple of years, really, since we started touring. So I got to get it out of the box and try and give it a go.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I didn't know that you played trumpet.
Yeah, I actually studied it at university. I did a jazz degree on the trumpet.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so that was like my main thing for a while, and then we started touring and kind of put it in the box and haven't really played it very much.
Yeah, well, I think you still got it.
Thanks, yeah. I can still play the important stuff, like Animal Crossing theme, and yeah.
Yeah, what else do you need?
Nothing.
Cool. So I guess now that you've spent, quite a bit of time on the game, do you wish there was anything added or fixed in what you've played?
I mean, yeah, like it's mainly just like I wish I could kind of click through some of the dialogue a little faster. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's universal. You're like,
yeah,
I don't want to have half an hour conversation with Gulliver every time,
Yeah, I find Gulliver probably the most difficult or Wisp too, because they give you the same story every single time, and you're like, I'm the same person playing the same game. do you really have to? We've done this before.
Yeah, I'm also hurt that you don't remember me when I saved your life, Gulliver. Honestly.
Yeah. I didn't see anybody else poking him awake.
Exactly, yeah. Who's... and then he just doesn't remember you. And he's like, oh, I'm here again. And then looking it up, and it, like, this is like looking it up, like, 6 weeks in, and being like, how do you get a gold shovel? And it's like, you have to deal with Gulliver's crap 30 times. And you're just like, oh, man. I had to have this conversation 30 times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of work with Animal Crossing.
Yeah. Have you got any of the golden tools?
I have only gotten the golden slingshot. And I think that mostly happened because of the Bunny Day event. I think there were balloons flying through the sky every 2 seconds. So
yeah. Oh, that was a whole thing. Yeah,
that's the only one. Yeah, I guess, how did you feel about, like, the Bunny Day event or any of the events you've played through so far?
Bunny Day was hilarious. Just I found it just funny how upset my flatmate got. I was like annoyed because I really liked fishing, and I think I was annoyed that, like, how often it was an egg instead of a fish, and that, like, all of the recipes for things, I was like, I'm not gonna use this in my house. I take pride in my house. I did use the Bunny Day lamp, actually, like it was an egg lamp. I quite like that, just like a big glowing egg. I thought that was cool. And then yeah, I haven't done as much lately. We're we're now in winter in Southern Hemisphere, so it's snowing, and I didn't play for a couple of weeks because now we're kind of back to normal life, and yeah, it's weird. I now don't have like 7 hours a day to play Animal Crossing. It's kind of annoying, actually. But yeah, I kind of logged in, and it had gone winter without me knowing, and now you can make like snowmen and built this like ice crafting and stuff. So it's been nice kind of logging in and seeing there's a whole bunch of new stuff to dig into.
Yeah, the seasons are a really fun part of the game, and I guess that's where it differs a lot from games like Stardew Valley. So how have you kind of felt about the real-time clock aspect to it? Are you time traveling, or are you just kind of taking it in each day?
I have not time traveled. I quite like it. I think maybe early on I was like maybe. No, actually, I never really considered it. It just, I really enjoy the way that it's, you can't, there's like, sorry, this has been a real fumbly sentence.
That's all right.
Yeah, I've been enjoying the real-time aspect of it. Compared to Stardew Valley, there was something really addictive about Stardew Valley, just doing like one more day or something like that. But Stardew Valley felt a lot more like it felt like a climb or something. Whereas this feels a lot more like just open-ended, which I really like, and that I can picture, like I did put it down for a couple of weeks and pick it up, and there was something new, and I feel like I can just kind of keep doing that indefinitely. And I'm not going to be like, oh, the game has gotten harder, and so now I can't, without playing for a few months, I can't remember how everything works. It feels just very fluid or something, like you could keep playing it indefinitely. I really like it, the real-time aspect of it.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah, it is something that you can just hop back into whenever you feel like, right? Yeah, so you kind of mentioned you were texting and everybody you knew to get turnip prices and things. So have you spent a lot of time visiting different islands?
Nah, when I say everyone I know, I mean like four. There's like four people.
I mean, that's the number that I would text to.
Yeah. Just people I feel comfortable revealing my turnip shame. Just being like, I left it late. What was the question? Oh, have you been to many islands? No, not really. Just like my friends. It's just like my friends' islands who are like all at different kind of levels, and then just like the ones that get recommended to me on YouTube, which I haven't been to, but like I see them and I'm just like, I quit. Like, this island is amazing. Yeah. So I haven't. Have you been to many? Like, have you gone to many different people's islands?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone to a bunch, I think, at this point. But yeah, I tend to enjoy it. I enjoy when I see other people's places, but I definitely can see that sentiment of like, oh, this place is really glamorous. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
so
nice.
I guess, do you find yourself comparing your island to others at all, or do you kind of like to keep yours separate?
Oh, I didn't for a long time, and maybe that was part of not wanting to, like wanting to kind of not look too much at what other people were doing for the first like 6 weeks or so. But once I got recommended that first video on YouTube, I was like, oh, I like my island. I like the way that it's kind of haphazard and like, the residents are strewn about the place, and I've given everybody like quite a spacious, yard area and things like that. Yeah, I've grown to accept where my island is at, but I did feel kind of like, inadequate for a while. But I feel like the people with those really incredible islands, like the amount of hours that they put in is amazing, and like I know a lot of them are time traveling as well, and so it's almost nice to be like, okay, so this is, if I could keep playing this game for like a year or 2 years and keep just chipping away and like end up with an island that's really impressive. It's not impressive right now. It's nice.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, mine is pretty destroyed right now, so I feel you there.
Destroyed. What's happened? Are you doing huge renovation?
Oh yeah, I went through. People know me as a tree person, I guess. There's this term that's been going around called cottagecore, where it kind of goes for natural type of looks for your island and everything. I consider myself tree core, and so I've cut down everything just to rearrange and re-terraform. So it's been quite the process that I've been in for, I'd say, a month now.
Can you quickly just talk, what is tree core?
That's just, a place that has a lot of trees.
Oh, okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Yeah. I love the trees in the game, so I tend to overplant them, and Isabel gives you this whole thing about there being too many trees, and, the residents don't want to be in a place that seems too foresty or underdeveloped, and I'm like, It's Animal Crossing. They're animals.
Isabel. Come on.
Yeah. I guess in that sense, this is a question that people tend to ask, but how do you feel about Tom Nook or all of the other characters that are kind of not exactly residents, but own the shops or run events?
I like them. Like this is, like I say, this is my first game, so it was my first time meeting Tom Nook. I'm kind of sad I don't interact with him as much as you do kind of in the early game when you go and see him quite a lot to talk about your home loan and stuff, and now I only ever talk to him when I need to move somebody else's house. Yeah, I think they're also nice. I feel like it'd be nice if they had a bit more personality or were a bit more rough around the edges or something like that. Like Timmy and Tommy don't seem to have much going on. Isabel's kind of cool. She's got like she's got a vibe, and Blethers has obviously got a vibe, potentially too much vibe. Yeah, like I actually, now I'm thinking about it, there's a lot of weird ones. I really like. I haven't seen them very much lately because I've been playing. Who's the one the lizard that buys you bugs?
Oh, Flick.
And the cat that buys you fish. I think those ones are really funny, just because they seem to really want those things for an unspecified reason that they don't want you to be suspicious about. I think that's crack up. I think that's really funny. Actually, yeah. I take it back. There's like quite a big amount of strange personalities. So yeah, I retract my statement.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, overall, it is definitely a game with a lot of dialogue. So I'm glad they spend some time creating those characters for us to enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I guess, I mean, I'm at the end of my questions here, but it was really great to have you on. I've been really excited to speak with you. As soon as I essentially, you announced that first live stream, and as soon as I heard that you might be playing that Animal Crossing theme song, I knew, oh, we had to have you on.
Yes. Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. It's nice to. It's been a nice thing to connect with people about. There's a band, a friend's band that I really like. Do you know Rat Boys?
Oh, no, I've heard you mention them, but I haven't gone and listened yet.
Yeah, they are a great band out of Chicago, and they released an album at the start of the year as well. So they're kind of going through a similar thing where like all their touring was cancelled. But Julia is hugely into Animal Crossing and has been like streaming it on Twitch and stuff like that, and has been talking about it a lot on their, like, they've been doing live streams as well, and so it was nice to I had a couple chats to her on the phone and just kind of like talked about Animal Crossing stuff. It was nice thing to connect over.
Yeah, that's really great. Sounds like it's going to be the next album too.
Yeah.
All right, so before we have you go, my friend would be very upset if I forgot to ask you this, but he asked me to ask you what your favorite guitar and amp are.
Ooh. So I've only got a couple of a few guitars. I've got like the plain wood colored Strat, and then there's a blue Strat, and then I've got like the one, it's like more of a hollow body, semi hollow body guitar. Mm-hmm. That one was so much more expensive than the Strats. I reckon, for a people's guitar, I think I quite like the blue Strat. I think it's quite cute. And then for an amp, I have a red one and a pink one, and I've gone with the pink one for my studio, and then I have the red one out. I've got like a band area in the park, which is where the red one is in use. So that's what I've gone with. I've gone with the pink amp and the blue Strat guitar as my faves.
Yeah, and those colors go great together.
Yeah, it's good. The studio is very mishmatched. Oh, that's not a word. I don't even know what the right word is.
I think that captures it, though.
Yeah, mismatched. In terms of colors and stuff, it's not a beautiful thing, but it's nice.
Yeah. And then I guess this is a question I just thought of, because I do this. I don't know if I'm weird, but do you name your instruments?
Oh, but in real life?
Yeah.
I don't, but I understand the impulse to. Lots of my friends do, but if I do, it's very juvenile. I'd be like, guitar-y. So no, I have not named my guitars, but what are your instrument names?
Well, it's funny you mentioned guitar-y, because I've named my Switchalina.
We actually call I'll Google whenever we're touring, and we use Google Maps to map where we're going next or whatever. We call Googleina.
Very similar names.
Yeah, the voice that tells us where to go. Sorry,
possibly
but go on.
Related.
Switchalina is good.
Yeah. I guess the guitar I have right now, it's a red hollow body, but I call it Frampton.
After Pete?
No, I just call it Frampton. But everybody just kind of mentions Pete Frampton right away, and then I say, oh yeah, I guess that does make sense. Maybe it's a subconscious thing.
Maybe. Frampton's quite a funny name. Is it a character for a name for an Animal Crossing character?
I don't think there is one named Frampton.
It's a good name.
There should be.
It's a good name. There's so many Blade characters. There's probably one.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, you mentioned you have a new album coming out, Jump Rope Gazers. When was that coming out again?
On July 10th.
Awesome. Well, I hope everybody checks it out and listens to you and anybody else you mentioned, included the Rap Boys and everything. So, yeah, thank you so much for being on again. And yeah, we were glad to hear from you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Hi, Sergio. How you doing?
Hello, Chewy. I'm doing rather well. It's been a good week in like overall terms. Had some fun. Played a couple of non-Animal Crossing games just for fun, and then lots of little progress in my island. What about you?
Awesome. We need to play Ludo together on Clubhouse games because it's so
Yes,
fun.
it is.
And then, hi, Nina. How are you doing?
I'm doing good over here. Been, helping Emmett get better after his little tooth surgery. So we've had kind of a low key week, which has been nice.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome. I'm glad he's feeling better. I know
Yes.
that's stressful.
It is.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I guess, it's been another week of Animal Crossing, and I don't know about both of you, but I've been seeing a lot of people just saying that they're really bored of New Horizons. Like they're done with the game, or just like they're not having as much fun as before, So I kind of wanted to lead the discussion in that direction, kind of talk about how we're feeling about the game at this point and, some possible reasons people can be feeling bored and everything. But yeah, I guess, Sergio, how are you feeling about it these days?
I wouldn't say I'm bored. I would say I'm kind of figuring out the way that I'm going to be playing the game for the foreseeable future. Part of that is because, honestly, the way that updates are going to be handled or have been handled, I, I expected something a little different. I expected more constant updates. I mean, it might be a little too early to say that because we don't really know how they're going to happen, but based on what we have gotten in the fact that as of recording right now, we don't know what the next update is gonna be or when. I expected a little more. So with that in mind, I'm kind of figuring out how I'm gonna be playing, and it's mostly gonna be the dailies, the things that we do every day in the game. I still find them a lot of fun. Like I even try to switch the order of how I do things every day, just to switch things around a little bit. But it's still my favorite part of the day in general. Playing Animal Crossing, doing the dailies, it's still a lot of fun to me. Um, as you know, I we recently planned my island of Castaños, so that was a big project and it took a long time, and that's why I'm seeing kind of the public works department of our island is on a break, a much needed break. So basically, I don't see myself doing any big projects in anytime soon. So I'm just gonna be taking it easy, like I said, with the daily things, and then eventually, I'm sure I'm gonna get a good idea that it's gonna be a big project, and then we'll start working on that. But for now, the dailies, I wouldn't say I'm bored. I'm just figuring out the way I'm gonna be playing the game.
Yeah, and you bring up a lot of really good points, especially like we're hitting the end of June and wedding season is about to end. I know everybody's been having tons of fun playing that. No, probably. I don't know. I guess there's mixed reactions to the wedding season. A lot of people, don't really care, so they're not really too worried about it. I know last week I gave the warning, like, if you want to get one of everything, like, today's the day to start. And if you haven't done it at this point, at least try to get to 7 days because you'll get the good stuff. But yeah, I mean, as far as like holidays go, like they're getting rolled in pretty slowly in this game. And to the point where it's like, I'm starting to notice a lot of things that aren't happening. Just yesterday, because this is Sunday, so yesterday was the summer solstice. If I would have logged into New Leaf, which I did not, I don't know when I will, but if I would have logged into it, I know it would have been like there was a special announcement right as I walk out the door that it's going to be sunny the entire day. I know Isabel's going to be out at the plaza to give me an item, So I think we've run into several days now that normally would have had a holiday or an event or some sort of thing. Even today's Father's Day, right? Like, did we get a letter from our dad at all?
Not a letter, but you could go to the Nook Shopping app and download his little mug like they had for Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there's basically like not too much going on in terms of like the calendar days now. We kind of experienced this early on in April, where there was really nothing said about April Fools or anything. Once again, that's a holiday where you would have
Mm.
logged in and New Leaf and Blanca would have been there, ready to give us like photos of every character, you know. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just feeling now that we're at this point, like they're definitely taking their time putting the events into the game, and
Right,
maybe they
right.
have some plan over the years to like keep adding them, and maybe once they're finally done updating the game, that's it. Like all of the holidays are just going to be there. It's going to be regularly programmed in. All the people who time travel will be able to play like they normally do, you know. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
and
I guess just holidays in general feel pretty low key.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder how much of that has to do with the pandemic, because they aren't being able to update as often as they'd like. Or I know with April Fools, it was on the same day that the Easter celebration started. So it might have just been bad luck that we had this year, which we've had a lot of this year, that we didn't get to see like the Blanca update, and maybe it will come next year.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of this stuff could just be at a point where it's been pushed back. There's not too much they can do outside of their normal work environment, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, one thing I definitely heard was just that like Japan has a very different work culture, and working from home for them was pretty challenging at first.
Yeah.
And that situation hasn't really changed much at all yet. So, I mean, things are still going on. So, pretty much, I think everybody's at that point where they're waiting and trying to, just wait and see what happens for summer. Like, what are the summer events going to be? And to some extent, I feel like, we kind of set ourselves up to think this way just with like, we saw the last announcement for New Horizons, and they basically said, here's all of this stuff happening from this month through June. And then we're like, oh, this sounds like this covers essentially the springtime in the game. So
Right.
maybe they'll do this again for the summer, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So who knows? I mean, that's a good way to look at it. But also, Sergio, like you also pointed out, like one thing I've been thinking about too with people and their feelings toward this game is like you're probably not playing 8 hours a day anymore,
Yeah.
and you're getting into the daily grind of things, which I've said before in the podcast, where it's just like like Animal Crossing can be a game where you just log in for maybe 30 minutes and you have your time there and it's good. And so now that people are hitting that point, maybe they feel it's not as fun just because like they used to be able to play 8 hours a day
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was good. But I don't think playing any game that long is sustainable. I think you're gonna
No.
get you're probably gonna wean off it a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess, what do you think, Nina? Are you feeling bored with the game at all?
Um, it's a tricky answer for me because actually this yesterday and I have to add today to my list now too are the first 2 days where I have not played Animal Crossing.
Oh.
I know,
Wow.
and I feel awful. So I think what I'm going to end up doing tomorrow is time traveling back to Saturday so that I don't miss a KK concert, and then just going back forward to catch up in real time. Um, but I don't think it's because I've been bored with the game, and actually, I'm really missing having done those chores, which is why I'm having to time travel back. But I think it's because I've kind of started to let my life slip back into my to my real life, where I had put a lot of things on hold for the release of Animal Crossing. Um, so, I've been drawing more, I've been reading books, I've been taking care of Emmett and getting him to a lot of different appointments. And yesterday celebrated Father's Day at my dad's house. So It's a little harder to balance for me now, especially because I had played so often. But I'm excited to get into that, like you guys said, that dailies routine where you're just logging on for a little bit, maybe checking the stores, giving gifts to your villagers, and then that's it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a big thing too. Like that's a big part of the game and what makes it last so long. I think in the sense of like this game was very different. This
Mm-hmm.
game was different in the sense of like we had all of these big overarching goals, like kind of a big story going on with the beginning now. And that's different from the past games where you were just kind of thrown into it. Like there
Yeah.
wasn't really a huge goal to go toward outside of like paying off your house, you know? Like that was the big goal before. But now like people are past that point. They've paid off their houses a lot of the time. So, you know, a lot of the games that tends to be where people start to drop off, you know? But now they're just hitting that point where like this is the everyday life of Animal Crossing, and you know, like you don't have to force yourself to play it. You can stop if you want, if you're not having as good a time. But it's also like it doesn't have to be boring, you know.
Right.
Hmm.
I wonder if the developers will kind of sense that, especially because New Horizons was the first time we really had a storyline to follow. I wonder if there'll be events with storylines to come.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean that could be a thing. I mean, I still think back to the interview with Aya Kyogoku where she's hoping to give us some surprises even like 3 years down the road, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there could always be these bigger overarching goals. I mean, I I think one thing that's really I've been wanting this in the game is I want the return of Nook's homes. I want Digby and Lottie and Lyle to come in, open up Nook's homes, and just like really expand what we can do with our homes. You know, give us more options for exteriors, give us more ways to really control the interior space, like maybe change the sizes of rooms and things. So I don't know. I feel
Oh,
like that would
yes.
be another little layer that they could bring to the game for sure.
It'd be especially cool if it also opened up the ability for our villagers to change their insides too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be a huge deal. Yeah.
You know,
Cool.
and to add to your point about reaching the end too quickly about basically paying off our house, it also doesn't really help the fact that everything is so connected online right now that it's basically it doesn't take a lot of effort to find good turnip prices and to make
Mm-hmm.
a lot of money really quickly. So, you know, we kind of tried to maybe prevent that a little bit. But I mean, people want to play the game the way they want, and that's fine. So, in a way, honestly, that may be part of the issue here. Like a lot of people made money too quickly, too soon. That's double. And yeah, I mean, they paid off their houses, and now okay, and then they reached the point of, well, now what? I have money for any rare item that comes up, even if it's super expensive. So yeah, it might have taken some of the grind away and some of the excitement and the fact that you might have to save sometimes and wait for an item to come back into sale
Mm-hmm.
before you can actually buy it.
Yeah, it took away the longevity a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you've gone through that too. Like you definitely mentioned that being your experience in New Leaf and might have warned
Yes.
people about it. But I don't know, I guess I feel like our listenership is definitely in that category of like, how could you possibly be bored yet?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's not a huge deal for maybe a bunch of people who listen here, but you know, for others, this is their first game, but at the same time, it's like I'm sure a lot of them in these past 3 months, because the game now has been out for like 3 months at this point, but they probably played this more than they did New Leaf in such
Mm-hmm.
a short amount of time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know, we've got very short memories too, so we don't exactly know how much time we spend with any game. We just kind of remember it like it was a while, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So, what were you gonna say?
Well, I'm thinking like now is kind of the sweet spot too in the game where you can kind of dive deeper into things that you're really interested in. You find your favorite part of the game and you really get into it, which I think can be really fun. Like a few weeks ago, I got really into making designs for like Disney cast member uniforms, and I made a bunch of sweaters that Noel Fielding wore on the Great British Bake Off. So I kind of want to get back into that. I've gotten away from spending time and making designs, and I want to now that I have time to get back into it. I'm excited to try that some more.
Yeah, and like some of those things, like it sounds like it would be fun for people to like just hop in when the seasons change too. Like a lot of people just kind of get to this point in the month each month where they're out of new bugs, out of new fish, don't really have anything else to do. And so maybe they are just waiting for that next month to come in and give them just a little bit more to collect than they had previously.
Yeah, I think that's a legitimate way to play the game.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Like I said, like playing 8 hours a day is not sustainable. You're going to burn out on whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, people burn out at work all the time and they work 8 hours a day almost every day. So yeah, I mean, it's good to like change it up, have some different things going on. I guess for me, I'd say I'm definitely not bored, but I'm not playing a lot anymore. Like I do think I'm hitting that point where I consider it the sweet spot of Animal Crossing, where I don't have to go crazy if I don't want to. Like there's definitely the ability. I can still go in and play for several hours and be good, but most days I'm just like, oh, I can log in for about 30 minutes, do all the things I want to do, and then go do other things, I just like that it's like a friend, just a little bit of time with a good friend. And so that's kind of how I look at it with those short play sessions. And I don't know, that's how it stays kind of fresh for me. But it's also the fact that like I went through and destroyed my island like a month ago. I don't know how long ago it was at this point. But, I'm like rebuilding things from the ground up. So for me, there's like not any lack of things to do. For me, I'm still terraforming. I still really want to go back into my house and redecorate like my living room. I probably did that like week 2 of the game and it hasn't changed. It has like this, the block furniture, which is a lot of the people's first furniture pieces that they can craft out of DIY recipes, So yeah, just looking at the stuff in there, I'm like, this is all pretty dated at this point. This is like beginning of the game stuff. Chewy, you gotta up your style right now.
I've been kind of feeling that way about Keel Hall too. I've had the same basic layout since the beginning of the game. I didn't even change my rivers too much when I did dabble with terraforming. So now I'm kind of thinking I want to open up my area where Red's Beach is and maybe get into a little bit more major terraforming and just see what I can do.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot to do if you make it that way. I mean, I know there's plenty of people who are, pretty happy with how their island has turned out and they want to keep it. But, every once in a while you just like walk around and you start to feel like one area just bugs you and you want to change it up. So there's always a good opportunity to do so. But yeah, I mean, overall, like my goals have definitely shifted. My daily routine is not as long as it used to be. I don't, for example, like right now, I'm not doing any type of like material collection at all. Like I have a closet full of wood and rocks and stones. So I don't know. I have a lot of stuff that I'm mostly in that just customizing stage where I'm waiting to be able to use all those things and decorate, Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the game, it's, I don't know, when you look at it like it's a work in progress the whole time, I think you're not going to get too tired of it. Yeah. So, I mean, speaking in that sense, like, what do you all recommend to players who may be feeling some boredom? Like, how do you keep the game fresh? And I guess, Sergio, you can start.
Yeah, sounds good. I would advise our listeners to just focus on the favorite parts of the game, the ones that are the most fun for them. Like Chewy, like we said, if you play 15 minutes or maybe half an hour, and you just do the parts that you like, and you don't really force yourself to do anything you don't find too fun, that's better. You don't have to force yourself. It's probably not a good idea in the long run.
Right.
But at the same time, don't close the door on those things that you might not be doing, because you might want to do them in the future with a different approach or a different mindset. To give you like a quick example, I completely forgot about the Mystery Island tours. I only go when I need like a 10th villager, and I needed one yesterday. So I realized, hey, I haven't gone since I needed another 10th villager like a month ago. So now I decided that I'm gonna start doing them again, but I'm gonna do them differently. Before, I used to go, and my thinking was, well, I'm here and I'm only here one time, so I'm gonna grab everything. Even the weeds, even the flowers, even I didn't need them, but I just wanted to grab them because I was thinking, well, it's a waste if I leave something here. But now I'm just thinking, well, I'm going for rare items. If there's a bottle DIY, that's great. If I can find a couple of golden nuggets, that's great. If not, I'll just go in and out quickly. That's fine. It's still a nice chance to see a new random island. Maybe get lucky and get one of the rare ones. So I can still add that back to the dailies, but it doesn't have to take as long as it used to. And that's my advice to people. If there's something that you don't really like doing, maybe speed it up. Just cut it back to the fun parts of those things.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned the islands too, because I was actually thinking of going to islands pretty soon here. I'm getting a lot more terraformed around my place. Things are starting to be in different places, and now I'm allowing myself to decorate some areas. And my reason for wanting to go to the island was, oh, now that I have some things where they are, I don't really want to wait 4 or 5 days for these trees to grow. Maybe I'll just go steal some.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I've been thinking of going to the islands, looking for some trees that I can take with me, and yeah. But I mean, outside of that, like I don't know. I just have way too much to do in the game for sure.
Sergio, who did you end up with?
I got Rhonda.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
she seems
Rhonda,
nice.
is she the rhino?
Yes, I think she's normal.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
she's fun. I like her.
She's like white, and I think she has purple hair.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's great. So
Very
Nina, I
cool.
guess what would you recommend to people who are getting bored?
I mean, kind of on the same wavelength. If you're bored, take a break. I think that's healthy to do for your brain. You just, if you don't want to do it, don't force yourself to, because you don't want to start resenting the game. Um, it's also good to kind of keep in mind that summer really is kind of a down season for Animal Crossing. At least I've always felt that way. Yes, there's
Mm,
more bugs and fish to catch, but there really aren't as many holidays um, as there are in the fall and the winter. Um, so yeah, take a break. Come back to it when you want to. I think it'll at least be interesting to read the villagers' dialogue when you've been gone a little bit. That'll be interesting to see. Um, but also, again, you can start kind of trying out new things that you haven't even thought of before. Like if you haven't started cataloging your furniture or your clothing, you could do that. I took a day with
Mm.
my app and went through and checked off all the clothing that I had and kind of put hearts next to the ones that I wanted to make sure to get, especially the new summer clothing. Um, like I was saying about Keel Hall, if your town has been the same since the beginning, maybe erase all your paths and try and create like a new way through your town. And then YouTube is just full of videos for inspiration. So if you're not sure what you want to do with your town, maybe change up your theme, or if you don't have a theme, you can try a new theme.
Mhm.
It's always best, like what you're saying, Chewy, to be working towards something. I think that's when the game really is magical.
yeah, I think I was gonna recommend that same kind of thing. Like Jackie the other day, she just kind of walked through her island and rated every part of it, and she was like, "Oh, this part is great. I'm not gonna change it." And then other parts, she was like, "I don't really like what's going on here," you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you feel like creating some work for yourself in the game, like yeah, just give your island a walkthrough and be like, "I don't really care for this spot anymore. I don't know what I was thinking when I made it." And so, just pretty quickly you can have a bunch of new things that you want to do. And I really like your recommendation of like going and looking at videos, finding some inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe you don't necessarily like one area in your island. You can go and find some other areas that are out there, some things that other people have done, and then do your own interpretation of that.
Yeah. And if you're kind of on the fence, like if you like an area but you think it could be better, just take a whole bunch of pictures, save them to your Switch so that if you don't like the changes you make, you can always put it back.
Yeah. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
much that you can really do, and at no point are you punished for doing them.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to take away from your island. I mean, maybe you won't have four or 5 stars for a couple of days, but in the long run, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, it'll be completely okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it seems like we all kind of went through our just advice for it. I guess one more thing, like once again, like it really doesn't hurt to just take a break. Like if you still want to log in every day, like you don't have to log in long. Like give it 10-15 minutes, do the main things that you want to log in for, and then just like go do something else. Like you don't have to force yourself to do anything in the game if you're not having fun with it. So yeah, it's all really up to you all the time. I know I last week we kind of asked advice from a lot of people, from our patrons and everything, and a lot of them mentioned like, it's really just like a game that lets you make it whatever you want it to be. So
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want it to be a big part of your day anymore, then it doesn't have to.
Yeah. I
Right.
wonder if that's why some people are kind of floundering with this. It might be the first kind of game that they've played that gives them that much freedom.
Yeah, that's true. And it's the first kind of game, like, I know in the past a lot of people have felt like the game punishes you for not logging in, but I don't know, at this point, I feel like they've gone away from that so much that it's just
Yes.
not like the first games. Like the
Right.
very first Animal Crossing, that is such a grind. Like you have to do so much to get money, even to do anything in that game. And you really are punished if you don't log into that one. Like villagers would be more likely to leave and everything. And so that one definitely gave people a rougher experience with that sense. But like these days, it's not really a huge issue at all.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I guess we can close out the show with Haken's Islander Corner. And for those of you who don't know, every single week we ask our patrons on Patreon a question and read some of their answers here for you. So this week's question was, you've been hired by Nintendo to run New Horizons. What's the first update you bring to the game? And both of you probably find this pretty familiar because it's one of the on-the-spot questions I asked you both.
Yes.
I figured I really wanted to hear what else people wanted to update. So how about we go Nina, Sergio, then me for reading these.
Sure. I'm so glad you added this to the Haken's Islander Corner because it was so much fun to answer last week. So I'm glad that, our Discord friends get to do the same, or our Patreon friends do.
Same.
Yeah. Okay. So the first one is Nikki Coburn. She says bulk crafting and add to cart button enable sisters and bring back the dream suite.
Oh.
I think these are 3 really popular answers.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, especially with the new summer stuff with Able Sisters, trying to buy like those tanks that have a ton of different colors and just having to
Yes.
go in and out and in and out. It's like, it's so boring. It's really boring. I will throw on TV shows while I'm doing that because I can't handle it.
Yeah. I mean, it's so it's so annoying just to go back and forth and be like, I want to buy all of these at once, but I can't.
And it seems like such a simple thing to add.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's really weird. Like, I've mentioned this before, but like Able Sisters and like Nook's Cranny and just like all of the different shop owners just work so differently from each other. There's like no set way that this is set up. And, you know,
No.
in many senses, like that adds to kind of the realism of it. But in others, it's just like, it's not as convenient. Some things aren't convenient in one store. Other things are not as convenient in the other. So yeah, it's a tough in between there.
Oh man, and can I just say, I have never really liked how they follow you around the store. I always feel like I'm in trouble when they follow you around. I don't like it.
Jackie's the same way. She's like, why are they following me so closely? Like, step off. Yeah. The other thing, this is a side note, but a funny side note. So you remember whenever you'd like walk into, what's it called? Resident services, and then Tom Nook, like before you can do anything, he's talking to you and everything. Whenever that happened, Jackie would always go, uh-oh, intervention. So just those situations just looked like she felt like she was gonna get into an intervention or something. Yeah.
Nice. So Jules said, this might seem random, but I've always wished for villagers to have bigger houses as well. Not necessarily have like 5 extra rooms, but maybe a few. I would love to see how the characters would decorate their whole house instead of just one tiny room. So that's what I would do. That's a really good idea. Like, I wonder if, some of them might have a basement and attic, or maybe just like the 3 rooms on the
Ooh.
side. And maybe that's also determined at random, and they can have different layouts depending on the items they like. Yeah, there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, that's really cool. Especially when there's like those spooky villagers. They could have like really creepy basements or something.
Yeah, and I mean, like, this is something that, like, it felt like there was potential for this kind of thing working, too. Like, when we started this island, we came in with 2 characters, and then they start out in their tent, and you're like, oh, this is really cool. It feels like they're also progressing in this game while I do. And then all of a sudden, they get into a house, and you're like, oh, this is so great. I can't wait to see how they fill up their house with stuff. And then they don't. There's never anything getting upgraded
they
to
hit
it.
that wall. Ugh.
Yeah. And so, like, it would have been such a great opportunity to have their houses grow to bigger sizes, have them fill them up with more things, like, actually make your gifts, more influential to how they decorate and everything. But yeah, I mean, still no. That's why I still think they should add Nook's Home so we can all get some home updates,
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right, so the next one is from Lemmy B, and they said, Wind Waker style sailing. You get a sailboat and can take it out to sea for better fishing and can even jump out of the boat for a deep ocean dive. Never fear, Cap'n is still here. You need a skilled sailor to go anywhere too far, so if you want to visit Tortimer Isle and enjoy the mini games, Cap'n will happily take you. Be careful though, Tortimer Island is hot and you can get sunburned easily.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, I love the little story behind this one too. But yeah, I mean, I think, it's summertime, and I think a lot of people are feeling like they need an island getaway from their island getaway at this point. They want to be able to go and play those Tortimer games again and just like, have some more opened up in terms of multiplayer too, having 8 people over is great, but as soon as people saw how long it took, it felt less appealing for them. So yeah, I don't know, like it feels more worth it to have 8 people over if you can all just play these really awesome mini games together, or like they can avoid all of that loading time and just make it so you can all go at once to this mini game island and meet up on Tortimer Isle.
And we need to know if Tortimer is still alive.
Yeah, it's true. We don't have a single character there to tell us, but maybe someday in the future we'll see them.
Maybe. Let's see. Lagoon Games says, I would make people joining and leaving multiplayer games more seamless. Right now, when someone wants to join or leave an island, it stops everyone on the island from playing until the new player has completely loaded in or left. Would rather it just be a simple so-and-so has joined or left the game, similar to that in Minecraft. Honestly, anything would be better than the system we have now, lol. Oh, and I would add a Score Bunny plush for Sergio. That dude needs his Score Bunny.
I do, yes.
That's true. That last little bit reminded me of, oh gosh, I can't remember which Pokemon game it was, but when you could like make your little hideout in caves or in trees and
Yes,
stuff.
Diamond and Pearl.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had the cutest little plushes that you could decorate
Yes.
with. Oh, we need those. We need that crossover.
Yes, I would love those. I might, you know what? It might be pretty fun to just make like a little cave area that's decorated like those.
Oh.
Oh, that would be cute. That
There's
would
an
be
idea for all of you who are bored. You can go do that.
Man, and this just went seamlessly into what you were saying before, Chewy, about, those loading screens with the players. It's long. There's another one where I just flip on the TV to have in the background.
Yep. Yeah, because you got to just like wait a while for them to do anything.
Right. So Matt Curtis said, I would add a weather app to the Nook phone. I have been using Meteor Nook to try to find a seat for my island over the past week without any luck. It seems to rain a lot on my island, and I would like to know when it would be sunny out instead. I would also add Brewster in the cafe back, either as part of the museum or as his own shop, and add gyros to the game along with him. Yes. The weather would be nice, but I think like definitely Brewster is like more iconic. Well, the weather would be nice. Like I guess because rain is more impactful now, at least for the flowers. So yeah, both of these are very nice.
And I don't know this app, Meteor Nook, or maybe it's a website. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was a thing, so now I have something new to do. That's exciting.
Yeah. Excuse me. But
bless
yeah,
you.
no, I think in general, like there's some apps that we need in this game. The weather one would be great. I've also been thinking of that lately because I'm just like, right now, I don't really look at any of the TVs in the game. Maybe I just need to put one outside somewhere that I'll pass by pretty regularly so I can see what the weather is going to be. But yeah, an app would be wonderful. A Dodo Airlines app would be so great. So yeah, I think there's definitely stuff that they can expand with the Nook phone for sure. Yeah.
Oh, I just found this website. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it looks interesting. So it is something new to do. I just Googled Meteor Nook and it came up. So try it out, people.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll check it out after. So the last answer is from Will B, and they said, I'd want to expand villager interactions. For example, a feature where you can invite villagers to your house and also to specific areas of the island. Example, let's all gather for a picnic on the beach at 12 p.m. Or let's gather at a campsite tonight and tell scary stories.
Ooh.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fun. I think we don't have, and this was something that happened in New Leaf for a while, but like, the villagers would invite you over to their place. They'd be like, hey, want to go over to my place? Oh, can I come over to yours? Like, that's not an interaction that's in this game anymore.
No.
So, yeah,
And,
I feel like there are some things missing there in terms of like what we could do with them.
And it reminds me of when you're first making your island and you have that really cozy scene where everyone's around the campfire and you're drinking your little natural fruit drinks together, and it's just so cozy. So I think big town events like that would be really nice.
Yeah, we don't have really any huge town events at this point. So it just seems like there's a lot of room for things to get added. And yeah, I mean, we say this all the time, but we don't quite know when it's going to happen,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, judging by like the work that they want to do on the game, I think, there's a pretty good chance that it may at some point.
I hope so. Yeah. I'm just going to stay hopeful because the developers are so amazing. So I know it's coming. It's just a weird time right now.
Yeah, it is a very weird time. Like, we can't forget that it's just like, these are not normal circumstances. So we don't know when these updates are going to come.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, yeah, thank you all so much for joining me. I know it was a little bit shorter today, my time with both of you, but hopefully everybody enjoyed the interview. I don't know yet because I haven't listened to it. But yeah, it'll be in the beginning of the show. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been really excited about this one. So
yeah.
We'll see how
Chewy,
it went.
Congratulations. I mean, it's exciting that you got this interview and you've reached out and you heard back. So good job.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, it went great. I hope. This is past me talking about future me, but for all of your pasts. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast. Don't want the episode to end? Well, you can keep the conversation going by Nintendo switching over to our Discord. Just follow the link in the description, and you can talk with other people who love Animal Crossing as much as you do, including Sergio, Nina, and me. And currently, we have the Haken Home Designer contest going on in our Discord. So please join if you want to, make the game a little bit more fun for yourself. Want to support the show in a bigger way and get your voice heard during the show? Visit patreon.com/ChewyPlaysNintendo. You can support our show with just $1, get special access to a secret room on Discord, join in on the Haken Islander Corner, and even read a monthly newsletter covering all things Haken and Chewy Plays. We really appreciate the support and put your money towards some great things on the show. Tuned in on YouTube, the comments are a great place to let us know your answers to the Haken Islander Corner. You've just been hired by Nintendo to run New Horizons. What's the first update you bring to the game? If you dig what you hear, please KK slide over to that review section on your platform of choice. Let people know what they're missing out on. Haken is a Wild production brought to you by Chewy, Sergio, Nina, and all of our patrons. We thank you for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Goodbye, everybody.
See you guys next time.